Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to take a look at hubs and switches. Okay, we'll look at what they are and a little bit about how they work. So switches live at layer 2. That means they deal with MAC addresses. Okay. Hubs live at layer 1. They're like dumb switches. They don't look at MAC addresses. Okay, they just take in some signal and repeat it. I'll go in a bit more detail, but here we see a hub at layer 1, a switch at layer 2. There are certain switches that can work with IP addresses and they sort of act like a router, but that's out of the scope of this video. In this video we'll just assume sort of like the older switches that just work with MAC addresses. Okay, so let's go back to the hub, and this will help understand how a switch works, because a hub is like an older version of a switch. So hubs, right, if a packet comes in from this computer and it wants to go here, the hub doesn't look at any address, so it doesn't know where it wants to go. It just takes in the signal, right, and just floods it out of all the other ports. So when I say flood, I mean it's just pushing it out of all the other ports on the device. So from now on, if I say flood, that's what I mean. Okay, and if this, if this computer wanted to send a packet, it comes in, right, and it's flooded. That's not efficient, because at the end of the day, the traffic should have only gone from this computer to this computer, but this computer ended up getting it, right? Now it has to take out, cycles, and it has to actually process traffic that isn't for it. So a switch is a more efficient version of a hub, right? And you can't really tell just by looking at the outside, like, the difference. So like this is actually a sort of special controller, but it's sort of got a switch on the back of it, right? So you see there's a bunch of ports. So these ports are like these lines I've drawn in here. There's ports on it. Now, this could, technically, I could say, oh, this is actually a hub or this is a switch. You can't really tell the difference. It's how it works inside, right? So what the switch does is it constructs a MAC address table. What this table does is it lists all the ports that live on it, 1, 2, 3, and it associates it with some MAC address, A, B, and C, right? So now that it's sort of mapped who lives off what port, when a packet wants to go from A to B, the switch can just direct it where it needs to go. And it does this by looking, right? The packet would have source A, destination B, right? As this arrives in on this port, it looks at the destination, refers to the table, and sees that it lives off port 2. That way it can just send it straight out. No need to also flood it to this computer that has to process it and go, this isn't for me, and waste resources. So a switch is a more efficient version of a hub, right? So these are hubs and switches. I hope the video was useful, and stick around for more.